Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I am Gary, your host. And this is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. And this time, I want to go to Malibu. Remember Malibu Comics? Talked about that once before with their super team of the Protectors. Well, this is one of the characters, one of the heroes in the Protectors. It's Man of War #1 from 1993, Malibu Comics. And before we do that, let's give a little shout out to a couple of YouTube channels that I like to watch. One is Evil Mock, which is EVOLSCIMOC, and the other is Wits End Podcast. Both do stuff about comics. And we have a word from our sponsor. That's me. My new book, Bizarre Brain Comics, is now available on from Amazon. Just type in Bizarre Brain Comics Anthology, and it'll come right up, and you can get your copy for $7.99. It's got some adventure, some gag pages, and general humor. And I hope you enjoy it. Now, here we got Man of War. Man of War #1. It's written by Tom Mason and Dan Danko, with pencils by Brian Lee and inks by Amir Ribeiro. I think if I pronounced that right. Okay, Man of War is a fictional superhero character as a warrior given superpowers by the Roman god of war, Mars, and is a member of the super team, the Protectors, as I said before. And then I was trying to look up some of these creators, and I couldn't find anything on this Tom Mason, because he has the same name as an actor, and his stuff is all that comes up. And I looked under the penciler Brian Lee, and he has part of the same name as the guy who did the Scott Pilgrim series, and that's all I can find under that name, unless it happens to be the same guy and he didn't use his last name, and I can't remember his last name. But I did find Dan Danko, and he is a Los Angeles-born writer, and he claimed that his success in the entertainment industry is due to his childhood belief that he was really an alien from another planet. And it sounds a little like K-Pax, if you remember that movie and book. He earned a Bachelor of Arts in English and spent some years as a writer and editor for Malibu and Marvel Comics before getting work in TV. He worked on Malcolm in the Middle and Rugrats, as well as doing some stuff for Nickelodeon and PBS. So then I'm going to take a look here at the cover, this cover drawing, and it's bright, colorful, kind of dynamic, eye-catching, and it is terribly drawn. Now these guys do much better on the same art team as on the inside, but it just looks terrible. It looks very, very fan, and it looks like it was just rushed together, thrown together on spur of the moment. And it doesn't really look much like the interior art at all. Get over there, Sergeant Rock. Okay, and then there's as Ferret versus Man of War. Yeah, and the blonde guy here, that's Ferret. That's Man of War. And Man of War is roughly the Captain America equivalent for the Avengers. Take a little brief look inside here. Starts off with this guy in Cuba called Lift. Has psychokinetic powers and uses it for cheating at gambling. And but he still owes people money, and bam, he got on the bad side of somebody, and they sent this guy Fracas after him. This is kind of dynamic and impressive for this double-page spread. And not too bad. Now, overall, the art in here looks kind of marginally fan. It's almost for what some people call the power comics or the outlaw comics. A lot of the smaller self-published books that some have had some, just not quite professional quality, but this is just right at the cusp, I think, in my opinion. And I'm not saying it's bad. It has its flaws. And here, Fracas is shooting stuff up, and Lift gets away, and evading the gunfire. While then the hitman is there, and the girl that Lift was just with. Well, I've got a little time left on the clock. Make some whoopee with you. And said, no witnesses. And he does away with her. Then we switch to our main characters. And it's a fight in the ring. It's actually boxing training between Man of War and Ferret. And by the rules, he beats Ferret. But Ferret gets some cheap shots in. And then he is visited by the guy who is their boss in the Protectors, Mr. What's his name? Reinhardt. Yeah, Mr. Reinhardt. And he's got a special mission for him. He has to go to Cuba, and he's supposed to find Lift to recruit him to be part of the Protectors. Now here, things are different. Cuba is like it was in the 50s. Castro has been assassinated, and has reverted to being the playground of the rich, famous, and the gangsters. Lots of gambling, lots of prostitution, lots of drugs, all kinds of stuff. So Ferret overheard. He kind of wants to go. He has some words with Reinhardt because they don't get along. Then our boy Man of War goes to the locker room to change, but someone was in there, and he overheard, and he's a spy, and he calls his boss. We don't know who his boss is, but his boss seems to have a modified presidential seal behind his desk, and so they have to keep an eye on Man of War. And then double page spread, has nothing to do with the story. It's like a pinup. And this is some decent artwork, decent stuff there, kind of impressive, bright colors. Then there is a squad sent to Man of War's apartment. He's changing, getting ready to go, and remembering when the last time he saw his brother before he was killed in action. And Man of War, he gets the saber that his brother had given him, and while he's reminiscing, he's attacked by the ninjas. And here we got some impressive, it's dynamic, some impressive work. Fighting. There we go, the power of war. That's kind of impressive one there. And just as one of the bad guys is about to draw a bead on Man of War, Ferret walks in his costume, and he cleans house and quips wise, and then Man of War gets a cheap, when they're all done safe, Man of War gets a sucker punch on Ferret, and in return for the sucker punch he gave on him. Meanwhile, the big boss, he assigns the guy Fracas to keep an eye out for Man of War when he gets there, because he was behind all that stuff. Where he is. Then here's a couple pages, 3 pages of promo piece for another book that was written by Walter Koenig, or actually conceived by Walter Koenig of Star Trek. He was Chekhov from Star Trek. And that's all we've got this time for Man of War from Malibu Comics. It's not memorable. It's kind of a fun read, but it's not memorable, and might have been decent when you had the whole story together. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it just wasn't memorable. Mason and Danko did some decent writing, a little bit, give us the background leading it up to, we got to find out what's going on, and it's a little bit misleading because it's not really Ferret versus Man of War. And the artwork could be better, and probably it was probably at the very beginning of these guys' career, and they did a respectable job. They told the story. They had their moments. So that's all I've got for you this time with Man of War. So please like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. Tell me, have you ever heard of this comic book before? And if so, did you like it? Do you like the characters from the Protectors? Or what's the scoop? Tell me what you think and what's going on, and ask me any questions, and if I can answer them, I surely will. So thank you so much for joining me. And remember, even this, comics are art.